In this video, I want to share my biggest learnings operating a 300K coaching offer so you don't have to do the same mistakes and can learn from this. Let's get started. I want to start quickly just introducing myself. My name is Diego. Here on my YouTube channel, I basically just share my day-to-day operating 6- and 7-figure coaching offers for my clients. That's what I do. I mainly focus on fulfillment because I think it's the most important part. It's a mixture between client success versus profits. Because most coaches, they make 100K months, 200K months, but they make no profits. And I think it's crazy. And that's what I help my clients with. Some of my clients are doing over $1 million a month that I operate actively, and those have sometimes below 3% cost on their fulfillment. So they make 97% profits on their fulfillment. Obviously, they have marketing and sales costs, right? But again, I mainly focus on fulfillment. That's all I do. It's basically what I learned and what I committed my career to. So if you want to learn more about that, feel free to subscribe or just watch more videos. So anyways, let's get started. So basically the offer I'm talking about is called VBA. It's a coaching offer for videographers, basically. And Nick Metzger, if you know him, he started that offer together with me. In the beginning, I was just hired there, and then over time, I even bought shares, and we partnered with this deal, basically, and I worked there as a COO and helped him build it. So let's get started in the beginning. So if I look down at my screen, I just took some notes here, so I'm not just yapping for like 30 minutes, but I actually give you some valuable lessons. So the first lesson I want to start is revenue doesn't mean profit. So when we were going from 0 to 250K, we were making bank because we had no cost in the beginning because we haven't hired anyone. But then we thought, we're growing. Let's just hire a bunch of people here, there. Let's make this, let's make that. And that stacked up. And I think we hit the first 250K month within 5 months. And then later on, I don't know exactly the time, but in December, I remember it was December, we hit our first 300K month. And that's the moment I realized, technically 1 month later when revenue dipped, I realized we have so much cost. Why are we not making more profits? Because again, in the beginning, the first 3-4 months, we were making profits because there was no one in there. And I realized we had way too much people. And I started to figure out, who do we really need? And we were cutting down back a lot there, especially with the sales team as well, but also generally, and trying to understand, what is really needed? And here's what I would do today, because even back then, I didn't figure everything out right away, to be transparent, right? I was still very chaotic. And I think key thing for your fulfillment is if you really have those people. So let's talk about it. If you're doing 50K a month right now with your coaching offer, you should basically do everything yourself except for marketing. You might have a partner there. You might have a VA that helps you sometimes. And if you want a closer, but you could close yourself because you're making 50K a month. That is your maximum onboard 10 clients a month. So how many sales calls you need to take? Maximum 2 calls a day. That should help you to close the amount of clients you need for 50K. Otherwise, you're trying to build too much of a team that is not needed because you scale with marketing. Just to be clear, right? That's not fulfillment. You scale with marketing, then you have a sales team. That's just like the middle man, I would say. And then your fulfillment just scales once you hit 100K months, right? That's where you scale. Well, you can implement a little bit something when you hit 50K months, but you actually scale easily with fulfillment once you hit 100K months, 200K. But that was the first learning. Revenue doesn't mean profit, okay? So again, if you build your team, 50K, do everything yourself, VA, and another person in marketing or marketer, maybe salesperson, 100K months, you could hire a CSM. CSM is Client Success Manager. He helps you to make your people successful so you can take yourself fully out of the fulfillment of the delivery in terms of day-to-day, okay? You still need to make the program better, redo videos and stuff like that, but in your day-to-day, the head CSM, is what I usually call it, will handle all of that. Because if you make 100K a month, you have, depends on your offer, but maybe 25 clients max, right? And that's a month. let's say, depends on how much you charge, right? Everything from 3K up to 10K depends a little bit. Let's say if you charge 10K, obviously then you need just 10 clients and you're already doing 100K. So depending on that, but it's not that hard. Like you don't need that many people. And you could scale with one CSM up to, I would say 200K, 300K. And then at this point, I would hire the next one to go from 300K to 600K. And then if you do 1 million, you probably need 2 to 3 people on the fulfillment side, because then with mass, things can get more complicated and you need more people. But that is pretty much it. You don't need that many people. Second learning from that was, okay, we cut down people. How do we build the business? And the second learning was people buy outcome, not a product or a service. They buy the outcome. In coaching, they buy an outcome. That's why on marketing, it's so important that you have different testimonials and stuff like that. But on the fulfillment side, right, this learning was more like, well, if that is the case, we just need to understand what actually leads to the outcome. And so the biggest mistake that a lot of coaches do is adding stuff to their video training. And I realized that our video training was very crowded. So we redid the whole video training. And Nick called me crazy. He was like, no, we're not going to do, like, what do you mean we're going to rebuild the whole training? You know how much time I put it? Like, blah, blah. I was arguing with him, fighting for this. And we did it. And it was the best change ever. We went from, I would say like 15, 20% client success. We didn't even track it back then, to 50%. So 50% of every person coming through the program actually hit the result, which is pretty impressive because most coaches, their success rate is below 20%, sometimes even below 10%, depending on how the size of the company is. But yeah, so we are at 50%. And keep in mind, that's including people that are ghosting us, that just no longer just want to do nothing. And you can't control people, right? Fully. Like, it's their decision if they want to do things. So yeah, but that was the learning, right? So again, people buy outcome. So you need to make your processes for that outcome better and more lean. And you take things out of the video training instead of adding things. That was what I wanted to say before as well. So stop adding videos, just remove videos. Because if you make if the process is not lean enough, you make it more complex with adding stuff. It doesn't actually help people, okay? You need to, of course, over time you learn what they actually need and where there's missing things, but then you redo that area instead of adding things. Because again, you just make it more complicated and then people get confused even more. So yeah. And let me go to the next learning. So those two learnings were really, really big. And then we rebuilt the whole video training, rebuilt the whole structure. We built what I call action-based video training, where you have a lot of like action steps for people to know exactly what they need to implement. And a lot more. I could talk about this forever, but let's go to the next point. Next point is the importance of client success. Like, as I said, we went from like 0 or like 20% untracked really to 50%. And what this unlocked was that we could build an offer letter. An offer letter means that you actually can charge more or upsell and resell clients basically, or increase your LTV. And that was another learning, especially going back to profits. Most coaches, they make one transaction per client, and the problem is that you spend so much money in marketing, right? Let's say you spend $1,000 to win a client, and then you spend another 10%, let's say it's another $500 on your sales team. And then now you spend another, I don't know how much on fulfillment. And at the end of the day, there's not much money left. But on upsells, you don't have no marketing cost. It's crazy. And if you have a good upsell, it's even more money that you collect. Let's say your first offer is 5K, then your upsell is going to be 10K, right? You double collect what you collect initially and without marketing cost. So it's pretty amazing, right? And if you're smart with less sales costs, because upsells and resells, you basically pay your closer less because it's much easier to upsell and resell people. And therefore, your profits increase even more on that package. Plus, again, it's much more money. So it's pretty amazing. So, and the core foundation of that, and that was the learning, is client success. Because you can't upsell people if they're not successful. And I realized that really fast. Like we had, again, we didn't track client success and then people were just finishing. the offer, and that's what most coaches are. Most coaching businesses are in, which is crazy. People finish after 6 months, and that's where real churn happen. Then they leave your program. They're like, "Thank you, I learned a lot. Thank you, bye." But you need to keep that customer. You just help that person. Now you need to understand what's his new need. Okay, what does the person need next, and that is what you need to craft an offer around, and then that's your upsell or resell or downsell, and then over time you build this like stack of different things that people actually need. And again, people buy outcomes, not just random BS. And they definitely don't want to stay in your program for $97 a month, right? And that's how you increase your profits. And that was the learning there, okay? So let me see. We talked about this, and we talked about that too. Yeah, I would say those were like the core learnings I had, especially for the fulfillment side. And then obviously additionally to that, I understand how you need to focus on building community with different things that you want to share. Maybe that's the last thing I want to share here with you is you need to understand people stay connected to a brand if they can identify with it. And one way of how you could do that is, for example, welcome gifts. But you need to understand what people want. For example, for VBA, those are videographers. How do you picture a classic videographer? It's a young guy, like super chill. He doesn't value money that much. So he doesn't wear like fancy clothes and stuff like that. But he's going on shoots. Maybe it's cold out there, all right? Or he's out a lot. What could be a cool welcome gift? Well, a hoodie. He's out a lot. A hoodie is pretty cool. It's pretty cozy. It's kind of like the style a videographer is wearing, you know? And that's something that we had as a welcome gift with a bunch of more stuff. For example, a camera lens clearing kit and stuff like that. And that builds something within a person. If you would send them a welcome gift, they feel like, wow, I didn't expect that in a random coaching offer I bought from the internet, that I get a physical welcome gift to my home, shipped within a week after starting this. And over time, a lot of people were wearing those hoodies. They were sending us pictures in live calls. They were just wearing them, sending us pictures and everything. And that built the brand a lot. And that is just one of the things that we did there. Again, I don't want to make this video too long. I could talk about this for much longer, share a lot of different things that we did there for this specifically. But this is one of the things that we implemented, and you should make sure that it's below like $50 per person, especially if you grow. Because think about it, if you onboard 100 clients a month and it's like you spend like $150, which you think like it's nothing, like 5K, okay, I can spend $150 of that for a welcome gift, but it's actually a lot. Think about it. 150K would be $150, sorry, would be 15,000 if you have 100 clients. That's a lot of money. Over a year, that's 150, 60, 180,000, something like that, right? It's crazy. That's a lot of money. Like, it's a lot of money. So below $50 is pretty fine. You can get a lot of stuff for $50. You just need to make sure you have the right partners there. But anyways, that was probably the key learnings. I'm sure there's more I could share, but again, I don't want to make this video too long. If you thought this was helpful, I want to share more videos, or I want to share in other videos more learnings I had with other offers. This is one of them. It was my very first offer that I built with Nick. And feel free to like this video or comment if you want to know more about a specific topic or how I do things. For example, how I set up the welcome gift or what I did exactly. And I'm more than happy to share it as well. And that's basically it for today.